All right, it's hearty, meaty, ricey, and all around delicious.
Agreed. I second that.
Stick around as Big Easy Life looks into jambalaya. If you come to New Orleans, or look at it, yeah, you know that jambalaya is ubiquitous with New Orleans and South Louisiana as a whole.
Because it's freaking delicious.
It most certainly is. It comes in multiple varieties, specifically Cajun and Creole, which we'll get to in just a minute.
And we're going to taste both of them.
Yes. It can be found at your highest end restaurants, your gas stations, and your sit-down dining shops. But it can certainly be found in just about every home in the city of New Orleans.
It's that good.
So I thought we would make some jambalaya. Not just one jambalaya,
Like two.
Two different jambalayas. We're gonna make a Creole jambalaya and a Cajun jambalaya.
This is gonna be great.
Yeah, talk a little bit about the history of jambalaya from what we know, and hopefully get y'all a little hungry as we move forward.
I'm good with that.
Excellent. Okay, guys, so we're gonna start this off with Mr. Blade making our version of a Creole jambalaya. It'll also be our dinner this evening. Now,
Wonderful.
you'll see we've got all of our ingredients set up in front of
A lot
us.
of things. A lot of good things.
We've got our cast iron Dutch oven on a burner right here next to our board. And we're gonna go through it, and I'm gonna talk Mr. Blade through it so that he can make it.
Yeah.
So first thing we need to do, Mr. Blade, get some butter in the pot.
Doesn't need to go in?
Yes.
It's sliding.
I need to get to it. And I'll have a backup for me.
Necessary kitchen.
All right, spin that around.
It's sliding.
It's because it's so hot.
I know. Butter's so slick.
We're really cooking here. See that? Okay.
Oh, that's
now,
good.
what I need you to do is grab your sausage. So we have a regular smoked sausage. I will have the ingredients in the amounts below. This Creole jambalaya is based on a recipe from Brennan's restaurant in New Orleans, so can't go wrong with that. So dump that into there. All right, then move it. I'm gonna help. I'll move it around a little while you get your pickled meat. Now, pickled meat, you've heard me talk about this if you saw a red beans and rice episode. I'll put that up here. Is the same as salt pork. It's another cured form of ham. So it adds another level of flavor. It brings those layers in there.
Very good.
So go ahead and add that in there. It's fairly fatty.
Okay.
It's not.
It's stuck.
There we go.
Here's what you
So it'll release some of its flavors as we go. Now, we're not going to torch you, but for about 5 minutes, we're going to move this around in the pan. We're going to brown that sausage and the pickled meat.
It's gonna look very nice when we're through with this.
All right, guys, so
We're back.
Yeah, now that we've let our sausage and our pickled meat get a little browning done and render some of that fat loose.
Nice and good smell.
It smells delicious in here. We're going to go ahead and scoop it out of our Dutch oven and put it to the side.
You want to make sure you want to let the fat drip out a little.
Yep, because we want that fat, that oil that's in there. We're going to use that in just a
to
minute.
get into the broth. That's what
Want me to do some?
I think I got
You
it.
got it? Good.
I gotta say, the pot does look a lot greasier now, which I think is a good
Well,
thing.
because you've got the original butter.
And
The sausage puts off a wee little bit of grease, but that pickled meat adds some fat pieces on it and it cooked down. Let me get those last couple in there for you.
chocolate pieces. It's almost like they're stuck to the wall.
They like to get
Stuck
in there and stay. But so we've got it all in there. And as you can see from the above camera, we've got a nice little bit of oil. We're gonna add just a little more of a nice neutral oil. This is avocado oil because it has a high smoke point and it really doesn't have a flavor. So we add that, we're letting that come up. We're gonna put this to the side.
That looks
Now
good.
we're gonna bring in something with more taste. more balancing of that taste, and that's going to be chicken, but not just any chicken.
Correct.
Chicken thighs.
And that is present. So,
Yes, we've diced it up, and it's spent the night in some Creole seasoning. In this case, Tony Chachere's, and it has marinated overnight in a Ziploc bag. It's been cut into bite-sized pieces.
That's very tasty, Carl.
And we're gonna move that right in there. This is a learning experience for everyone. You see me back up sometimes. Now go ahead and break it down and get it all over the pan there.
I assume I need to move it around a bit like the other meat to make sure it gets...
Yeah, and it's okay if it sticks. We are going to deglaze the pan in a bit, so you can let it be. But every minute or two, we want to kind of turn it and move it so that all pieces of the chicken touch it. We don't have to worry about undercooked with this. We actually have to worry more about overcooked. So you want to get it where you've got some brownness on it, and
Well, a little nice, but not quite there yet. It's the rest job's going to get done.
it's going to sit in the broth with the rice and the other ingredients for quite a while. So you can look in here and see how some of it, where you flipped over, has already got. So let it sit for a minute. All right, we're coming along. Still got a few more minutes with our chicken here. One thing we want to say is, you're probably asking yourself, well, what makes this Creole versus Cajun? And I'm going to get into the history of it in a few minutes, but you're going to see that we didn't start with what you see in most Cajun recipes, which we didn't start with a roux. So when we come back and do our Cajun version shortly, you'll see that we'll start with a roux. So we'll talk about that then. And I think we're pretty good here on the chicken.
That's good.
So our next step is to get our Trinity. No, there you go. All right, so do you remember what the Trinity is?
Was I right the first time?
No, you aren't. Okay, so here we are with the New Orleans Trinity. What is that? Well, if you've eaten anything down here, watched anything on the Food Channel, what we call the Trinity is onions, celery, and bell pepper. Not to be confused with what you would see in France, which is called
a mirepoix.
A mirepoix, which is going to be onions, celery, and
carrots.
There you go, and carrots. So again, that's what was there. So we're gonna go ahead, Mr. Blade, and
add the whole thing.
add it in.
All of it?
Yes.
Okay.
It's about 2 cups, and again, we'll have them ready to dump it all in there. All right, hand me that. Now, I cheat. Being local, this company is called Good Grease.
I'm pretty sure you can go to any grocery store.
Do I have onions? Do I have celery? Do I have bell pepper? I most certainly
We can
do.
easily make our own Trinity.
I can dice it all up.
This is way more convenient.
But at the grocery store, I can walk in and buy an entire container of Trinity pre-diced and put in there.
I'm pretty sure you can go to any grocery store in the state and get just cup Trinity.
It's a good chance, and no every place locally here in South Louisiana. So, is it a little cheat on my part? Sure it is.
Maybe.
But, you know, sometimes it's a lot easier.
It works.
I don't have to cry over the onions, so.
That's a pretty big plus.
Now, what we're going to do here is that chicken's getting a little more on it, and we'll obviously lower the temperature of the pot a little with that cooler vegetables. We want to let it come up, and we're going to cook until those onions start to become translucent and the other vegetables start to soften up.
Oh, I can smell it, and it smells so good.
Okay, so we've cooked our Trinity down till it has gotten kind of translucent and soft.
And tasty looking.
And now it's time for everybody to get in the pool.
Party time!
Let's grab some garlic first.
The Pope.
All right. That's right, we call it the Trinity. This is the Pope.
Yeah.
About, I don't know, a couple of tablespoons. Oh, we like garlic.
We like garlic a lot.
Let's stir that in. Oh, reach across it. We're going to let that be by itself just for a minute to heat up. As soon as we can start to smell that garlic, we're going to start putting the other stuff in.
You don't mess with the Pope.
And I can smell that garlic. So let's go with our other dry ingredients in.
I got my glasses fogged.
I'll stir while you add. So let's start with some thyme.
Thyme.
All right, thyme in. All right, then we're gonna go with some pepper. This is a combination of white and black pepper. Go ahead in. All right, We have some red pepper flakes. We could use cayenne here. I kind of like red pepper flakes because they're not as pungent and everybody can eat it compared to where if I do a bunch of cayenne.
I have a less good time with cayenne.
So go back and watch our hot sauce episode. You see that. All right, give me a pinch of salt. No, like a 4-finger pinch.
A lot of salt.
There you go.
Okay.
Now we don't need a ton of salt because I'm
just a good bit.
All right, so that now we're going to go ahead and add 1 bay leaf. We got 1 giant bay leaf, and on top of that we're going to add.
Tomatoes.
This is tomato puree.
Looking very nice.
All right, and some crushed tomatoes.
Everyone finally showed up to the pool party, I guess.
That's right. Now I'm going to show you. I'm going to cheat because I like to get every last bit of that. Now we're going to stir this.
They're nice and good.
You got it?
Yep.
All right. A couple of things are going to happen here. This is kind of your base sauce with your base ingredients. We still have to add chicken stock in here and our rice to cook. I want to do a couple of things. I want the tomatoes to come up to temperature now that they're in there. I also want to kind of let them release some of their flavors and all those dried ingredients to mix in there with this base sauce. So we can do this for about 5 minutes before we need to move on. So matter of fact, why don't we go ahead and add our sausage and our pickle meat back in. Again, all the flavor that goes with that. So we've got this cooking for a few minutes. We're just about at the point where we're ready to go. All right, Mr. Blade, I'm going to show you one of my tricks here. We got tomatoes left in that. So I'm going to pour some of the chicken stock
that's a good sheet.
into there, and then I'm going to stir it a little.
And then
that way we don't lose any of that.
That's pretty good.
And then
here comes the
as
rest.
you do that, I can continue to miss the pot. Stir all that.
And this is
now
basically the broth we're gonna work.
Yeah, let me get a spoon real quick. All right. Now, raw tomato sauce is not going to be that good, but you're going to cook it for a few minutes, and I want to taste.
Can I have a taste?
Most certainly. We're related. We can use the same spoon.
That's pretty good.
It's good.
I don't think it's quite ready yet.
Not even close. I'm gonna add some hot sauce to give it a little balance too. So I like crystals.
Because crystals is the best.
Crystal rocks.
And we I guess scientifically proved that during the hot sauce.
At least pseudo-scientifically.
We close enough to scientifically we can do. We proved this is the best down here.
What we want to do now is like everything else. I think you can stop stirring for a minute. We need to get it to come back up to temperature. I mean, and this is a from scratch, as you can obviously see, compared to very common here is to do a box mix. Just like you would do Rice-A-Roni or Hamburger Helper. Companies like Zatarain's and Louisiana Seafood do crawfish etouffee, red beans and rice, and jambalaya. Do dirty rice as a base mix.
This is better.
You can control so much more like this. Well, you can decide. Do you want it spicier, less spicy?
Do you want your hot sauce to be crystal?
Right. Do you want it more tomatoey? Do you want it more garlicky? Whatever you want.
You're on that side.
Yeah, we're on that. So you can definitely do that more readily. Okay, we are back, and as you can see, we have come to a nice boil here. So it is time. We already put the time. To add our rice. So would you like to
do the honors?
Do the honors. Go ahead and add our rice in there.
You want to just dump it or slowly?
You can just dump it. Now we'll stir it in. We want to make sure it gets spread out in there.
So that you don't have a good.
Now, what's the difference here? As you think about it, this.
Oh, and there was some that got stuck to the bottom.
All these flavors are now going to absorb into the rice. So instead of just having a white rice with a sauce on top,
it's going to look red.
You're going to have a rice that's going to have all these flavors. So
it's going to be delicious. And So I assume after we stir it a little more, it's time to let it set.
Yeah, we want to bring it back up to a boil now that we have the rice in there. And we're going to set a timer for about 30 minutes. We're going to bring it to a boil, drop it down to a simmer, just a bare simmer, and let it sit for about 30 minutes. So
that'll be good. Very good.
I'm going to steal something from another YouTuber who we like. Wait, I got his name written down so I can get it right. It's Tasting History with Max Miller. We watch all of Max's stuff and we really like it.
Yep.
And he does something really cool that while his food cooks,
History time.
It's time for history. So while you watch the food cook, we're going to tell you a little bit about the history of jambalaya. So here's a little history about these dishes that we're making. Jambalaya originated here in the city, specifically the French Quarter. And likely it was an attempt by the Spanish inhabitants to make paella in this new world where they live. Now, saffron, a prime ingredient in paella, was not readily available here, and it was highly expensive. So at some point, tomatoes, which had become a very easy thing to get here, became a substitute. Now, over time, spices from the Caribbean and African influences changed this new world paella into a very unique dish. That's Creole, but what happened with Cajun? Well, Cajun jambalaya normally has more of a smoky and spicy flavor than its Creole cousin. It was developed in areas outside the city where tomatoes were less readily available. This alternative style included seasonings with oil and different types of seafood, starting with a roux base, and there's variations found throughout the region. As well as you'll see it done with different vegetables. Obviously the Trinity. Some people may put okra in their jambalaya. Sausage was included in both Creole and Cajun through the influence of the German immigrants in the area, and the West African dish jollof was a big influence on the development of jambalaya as a whole. The etymology of the name has no clear line, possibly taking pieces from Spanish, French, and even West African languages. Its first time in publication was in 1837, but it didn't make it into a cookbook until 1878 as a recipe. This dish grew from a meal designed to take care of all those leftovers you had to help make ends meet in the poorer households to a staple in almost any restaurant in the city. All right, guys.
Oh,
it's been about 30 minutes since we finished. You ready to see, Mr. Blade?
yes. It looks amazing.
See the steam coming off it there?
It smells amazing.
Look down.
Fold my glasses again.
See if I can tilt it towards the camera, but
so
you can see it on the camera from above. Let's.
It looks beautiful.
If you have a little liquid left at this point, that's fine. When you turn off the heat, it will absorb all of that. But you can see, look at that ham, that chicken, that sausage, all the wonderful vegetables.
The Trinity looks great.
Let's give you a spoon here in our gumbo bowl instead.
Yeah, wasn't it the same bowl we used for when we tried the red beans?
Maybe so. So give it a quick taste. Give me a fork. I'll take a quick taste too. Tell the camera what you think.
Sausage is very good. Now I need to get a good rice bite.
Get a good rice bite.
Right now, I think this one's gonna win because tomatoes. I like tomatoes. I have a bias.
There's no right or wrong jambalaya. There's just good jambalaya. You can eat it both ways, which we probably will.
That's very good. It's very tomatoey. It tastes like you gave it a very Louisiana.
It's delicious.
Tomato sauce.
It's got a little spice, but further back now. We're tasting this now, but in just a few minutes, you're going to see the Cajun version as we cook it, and afterwards
they're gonna go head to head.
we'll do side by side so you can see and you can decide which one you want.
To scientifically prove once again what is best.
So stay tuned for Cajun jambalaya.
This is so freaking good.
All right, you ready to move on to Cajun? So here we go with Cajun jambalaya. And the first thing you'll notice, we have all this stuff, is we're going to start off making a roux. So we have equal parts oil and flour. So first thing we're going to do, I'm going to do this part because it's a little more delicate than others. I'm going to get our oil in there. This is vegetable oil we're making. You can do it with varied. Once again, you want something that has a fairly high smoke point and is not real, doesn't have much of a flavor. So next we're gonna put our flour in. Now, like always, with a roux, I'll tell you this, 100 videos on YouTube that you could go look on how to make a roux. It's equal parts flour and oil. And the big key here, keep her moving. And this is gonna take a while, not too long, because I'm running over a pretty good heat. But we want, what you see here is pretty much what we would call a blonde roux. We're just starting. You're gonna go up through a variation of colors all the way to a brick.
A brick?
A brick roux, so it's a dark red. You can obviously do this in one pot without any problem. But since I know the roux is going to take a little while, right there in the fire. I'm going to go ahead and sear off our andouille sausage. Stir boy. Oh, you want to do that? Okay.
Oh, I want to do sand. Can I do sausage?
Yeah.
Just stir the sausage like last time?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and sausage and then come back. And again, much like the last recipe, I have some pickled meat here. And all we're doing is browning those, just like we did in the Creole recipe. You can kind of smell the flour cooking off here in the oil. Look at that, got him working behind me at a stove.
Yeah.
Line cooked material if I ever saw it.
Line cooked. It sounds incredible. I can just hear the sizzle.
And this is our big difference. Where our Creole had a tomato base, this has a roux base.
Very big difference. Tomatoes are very different from roux.
No doubt. You can see our roux getting a little color to it. You want to see a really neat way to do a roux? Check out Alton Brown. He does a roux in the oven. He teaches you how to do an oven roux.
That guy's cool.
It is, but I can't put a camera in the oven. It'll
Yeah,
melt.
that's what. That's a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah. Our next step is going to be to add our pepper, both our red pepper. Yeah, that was one, and the other
flakes.
pepper there.
And
Yep.
the wine butter.
But we're gonna not yet. We're gonna first add our Trinity. We talked about this before. This is pre-diced Trinity, all set up there.
Down here. And it's looking nice and diced. Smells pretty good too.
All right. Why don't you go ahead and add the Trinity in?
All of it?
All of it.
All right.
It's a little more than the other pot that we did. That's close enough. Throw that over by the sink. Because this is a little bigger serving that we're going to do overall. A little more rice.
Yep. We're,
all right, go ahead.
By a cup, I think.
Go ahead, add your pepper. Both your peppers, yeah.
Okay, both?
Mm-hmm.
So this is white and black pepper.
Yeah.
And this is red pepper flakes.
Yes. There we go.
Same reason as
That's
last
good
time,
enough.
he preferred this over cayenne.
And it's not a preference, maybe for you. I like cayenne.
I'm not a huge fan.
But cayenne is going to be a lot harsher as far as the heat is.
So this is just preferable in certain aspects, which is why we use it.
Let me put it this way. Every pizza place on the planet has red pepper flakes on the table to put on your pizza.
Because not everyone likes it.
Nobody has cayenne on the table to put on your pizza.
Yeah. Cayenne's a little extreme.
All right, so you can see where that roux
Nice
kind
and
of
soaked.
binded itself up to the vegetables.
It's almost like mini jambalaya.
We're gonna cook it again for about 5 minutes to, I'm gonna steal that piece of sausage.
Hey, it's a sausage.
Start cooking down these vegetables. As you see, we had a beer magically appear here.
Yep, magic.
Magic, this is Paradise Park from Urban South. It is a local beer. Here, I'll bring it up close to the microphone. I don't have a fingernail.
Oh, you need it again?
I have to let the teenager open the
Oh
beer.
my gosh. there.
There we go.
Oh, it's hard.
Yes, that was embarrassing.
Yeah, agreed.
I had to test it to make sure it was good.
Is it good?
Oh, it's good.
Oh, good.
Again, this is a local beer. We want to support Urban South, Red Oak Tropicals.
So it makes sense to, if we're making a local dish to use a local beer.
Yes.
And it calls for beer.
Let's go ahead and add our garlic.
Oh.
So, a couple of 3 tablespoons. 1, 2, there we go.
Mix that in.
Wait for it to become fragrant. And then we can go ahead and add our meat back in. We'll go ahead and add some of the beer. We're doing this to deglaze the bottom of the pan. Could you do it with water? Of course you could. Should you? No. Do you need to use beer? No. You've probably seen recipes where they use everything from root beer to red wine. So,
I feel like the alcohol is a component, isn't it?
well, the alcohol itself will cook away, but some of the flavors that are in here will definitely combine. So again, there we have our pickled meat and our andouille, which we won't have a lot of if I keep eating it.
Yeah, you really need to stop. We're not gonna have much meat left in this jambalaya. You keep eating the bird pieces.
All right, so I'll take over stirring. You add bay leaves.
3 little medium bay leaves. No, 4 medium bay leaves.
All right, add our thyme. Oh man, that smells so good.
Yeah.
Next is our basil. Go ahead and add our basil. And again, while this is hot, before we put too much water, we're kind of letting them combine and giving them a few minutes. I'm more folding than stirring now because I don't want to break those were dry basil. I mean, dry bay leaves, not fresh bay leaves. So we really want them to stay intact. Oh, hand me the Cajun seasoning. We're gonna go ahead and add.
Big. Ooh. Oh, even more.
That's a good start. Now, remember, we can always add. We can't take away.
You can't remove. It's very hard to do that.
But that may have looked like a lot.
It was a lot.
But we're about to add 5 cups of stock.
Yeah, I think that filters it out quite a bit.
So here we go, 5 cups of chicken stock. Would you like to...
4?
Got it. Nice and easy. And I think I just got a whiff of the pepper. You stir while I step off camera and sneeze.
This is looking much. It looks a lot thicker than the tomato.
Well, and it definitely has a different smell. It smells delicious, but different.
Let me. I second that.
But definitely different. We're gonna bring her up for a boil. Once we get it up to a boil, it'll be time to add our rice after a few minutes,
and
then we're in our large weight. Now, I know what you're thinking. We only added ham and sausage. The last one we did,
we added chicken
and sausage. What are we gonna do here? Do we bring out chicken? No. At the last minute,
special.
we're gonna bring out fresh shrimp. And add some fresh shrimp just a few minutes before we finish up and let them cook through. All right, so we've just about got this back up to a boil.
Oh, it's looking nice.
We, grab that spoon from under there. We're gonna taste the liquid real quick before we add the rice. I need a ladle, it's way down there in the pot.
Lot hard.
No stealing sausage. You saw that, folks. He was going for a sausage.
Here you go.
Oh, that's for me? Okay. I was just
I thought.
I was just gonna get a little broth and a little onion. Ooh, very good. Lots of layers of flavors in there. That roux gives it a good earthy, umami kind of taste.
Very good.
A little spicy because we've got black pepper, white pepper, red pepper,
Much spicier
and
than
some Creole and some Cajun seasoning, so it's a little spicier.
Creole is gonna have, it's got harsh, the Creole jambalaya has got harsh competition.
So let's go ahead and add our rice. All right, folks, so we are gonna cover it up.
We are gonna let it sit.
And let it sit, and we'll be back. Okay, we're back after 30 minutes.
Nice, good. Oh,
Look at that.
nice.
Mr. Blade's gonna dive in to check the rice tenderness, of course. That's what he's doing.
Poison tester.
Yes.
Very, very good.
Let me poison test this beer.
Well,
Now,
professional poison tester.
we're not done yet.
We still got the shrimps.
Here we have about a pound of deveined shrimp. They've been, the head's removed, the shell's been removed.
Shrimp.
We're gonna go ahead and
Scoop them on in.
put them in here. Just sort of fold them in.
Get nice and mixed in there.
Okay, so as you just saw, we put the shrimp in. One of the cameras died. We swapped things over real quick. We've got a couple of minutes left. Let's go in and stir. Yeah, you can see how the shrimp have changed color some. There we go. Let them last a little bit there. All right, so just a couple more minutes and that will be finished. Next time you see us, we will be taste testing our different jambalayas. All right, so here we are. We had a chance to pick up, clean up, let everything finish up, and now we have
the results.
both of our jambalayas in front of us.
They look magnificent.
In front of Louise here is this beautiful
In the red corner, the Creole Jambalaya.
Creole Jambalaya. It has smoked sausage, pickled pork, and seasoned chicken thighs, as well as the tomato base that you saw done with that. Hold it up for the camera to see there. There we go.
And in the blue corner, we have the Cajun
With the
Jambalaya.
Cajun Jambalaya, if you notice,
Radically different.
it's lighter in color. It had a roux base, a medium roux base. It has andouille sausage, pickled pork, and these
shrimp.
beautiful shrimp that have cooked in there. So why don't we each taste ours, and then we'll swap and taste them again.
Got a very tomato taste. Very good. That was very good. What do you have to say about?
Don't say anything yet. Let's swap. For being the same thing, they're radically different. In my opinion, they're both delicious. The Creole obviously has a strong tomato taste to it.
Meanwhile, the Cajun, I get more of the Trinity.
You definitely get more
You
of
get
the
much
vegetable
more of the
kick.
Trinity.
I also think it's got a little more heat kick to it.
Lot more heat.
That's easy to change whatever you like in it though.
Yeah.
But both amazing, and I think they both do justice to the history of jambalaya.
They're both
Which one do you
incredible.
like? You know, leave us a comment below and tell us what you like best. I like the fact that I have two to try from.
I know, it's good. Have some more Creole.
You most certainly would swap those around.
I really like Creole, so. This is so good.
So, now that we're working on full bellies and chewing, and y'all have a better understanding of jambalaya, we want to thank you for watching the show. We would love if you would subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications, Give us a like if you like what we have to say. Please leave us a comment. You don't know what it means for us to hear from you about what we're doing. Take a minute, visit our website. What's our website?
www.bakeasylife.org.
Very good. Cheats when he reads the notes in front of him.
That's not cheating. That's called using what's in front of you.
And as always, thanks for being part of our Big Easy Life. I think I'm gonna have some more food.
I think.
Okay.
I agree with you.
Go right back in for some more food.
This is very good.